With the NBA's offseason business all but complete, let's take stock of how the league's stars measure up when it comes to trade value. Think of this list as the 20 players who would command the biggest returns on the hypothetical trade market. Unlike standard player rankings for the season ahead, this list factors in age, contract status, and a big picture view. That helps explain our most glaring omission, as LeBron James failed to crack this list after a summer in which a trade market never materialized for the league's all-time leading scorer. If we were ranking players based on their expected production and championship weight in 2025-26, LeBron would still register in the top 10, even as he prepares for a record-breaking 23rd season. But from a trade value perspective, a 40-year-old legend on an expiring contract that comes with a no-trade clause and a $52.6 million cap hit in an apron world doesn't measure up to a budding star under long-term team control. Same goes for injured superstars like Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. Before both went down with Achilles injuries, they easily would have cracked this list, with Tatum in contention for a top 5 spot. But as it stands, any team trading for Tatum would be betting on him being worth roughly 35% of the salary cap for 3 or 4 years after his return from as devastating an injury as an athlete can face. I also considered great role players on bargain contracts like Derek White, Trey Murphy, and Denny Avdia. But that trio ultimately fell short, as did a bunch of other stars. We begin our top 20 with Tyrese Maxey. Like everyone associated with the 76ers, Maxey's stock took a hit last season, but we're still talking about a 24-year-old who's averaged 26 points and 6 assists over the last 2 years. Maxey's combination of speed, playmaking, movement shooting, and range should keep him in all-star conversations for the foreseeable future, making his long-term contract a bargain. At number 19, it's Devin Booker. Lavishing Booker with an unnecessary 2-year extension diminished Phoenix's only blue-chip asset. But it's not like Booker's trade value has completely cratered. He's still a bona fide offensive superstar under long-term control, and plenty of teams would happily surrender assets to acquire him, even if it means overpaying the 4-time All-Star 3 or 4 years from now. Coming in at number 18 is Chet Holmgren. If not for injury concerns, Holmgren would be a top 10 candidate. He's a 7'1" defensive stalwart and career 37% three-point shooter who should be an all-star soon enough. Holmgren also still has a year remaining on his rookie scale contract, followed by a 5-year extension that reportedly doesn't include escalators, meaning Holmgren's cap hit won't be affected by any individual accolades. At 17 is Jaren Jackson Jr. In the 2 years since winning Defensive Player of the Year, Jackson has averaged 22.3 points per game. Even if he's best suited as a second or third offensive option, his combination of rim protection and shooting makes him one of the best two-way bigs in the league, and his contract runs through the remainder of his 20s. At number 16 is Alperen Şengün. Mobility and shooting concerns might keep Şengün from full-fledged superstardom, but he already looks like the type of player who'll easily outplay his contract. The Turkish big man averaged roughly 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists over the last 2 years of his rookie scale deal, earning an all-star selection and leading a 52-win team in win shares as a 22-year-old. The fact that he'll only earn about 20% of the cap over the next 4 to 5 years is an absolute steal for Houston. Şengün's teammate, Amen Thompson, brings us to the top 15. Thompson's only halfway through his rookie scale deal, meaning he has 6 or 7 years of team control left if the Rockets come correct when it's extension time. That makes him extremely valuable, far more so than his career scoring average or three-point percentage could ever convey. Thompson's a defensive menace, and he's only scratching the surface of his offensive potential. At number 14, it's Paolo Banchero, who can still qualify for a bigger extension than the one we're looking at if he's an All-NBAer next season. Banchero's shooting range will ultimately decide what caliber of star he becomes, but he deserves top 10 consideration regardless. He's averaged at least 20 points per game and led the Magic in scoring in each of his first 3 seasons, 2 of which resulted in playoff berths. The 6'10" shot creator looks like a prototypical franchise star. Coming in at number 13 is Cade Cunningham. What a difference a year makes. With the Pistons providing genuine spacing for the first time in his career, Cunningham exploded in 2024-25, averaging 26.1 points and 9.1 assists while leading Detroit to 44 wins and its first playoff berth since 2019. Cunningham's efficiency and turnover issues still leave something to be desired, but a 6'6" guard with Cunningham's combination of shot creation and playmaking abilities should be a perennial all-star. Next up at number 12, it's Evan Mobley. Mobley qualified for the bigger max extension, which might make some queasy about these numbers, but don't overthink it. He won Defensive Player of the Year at the age of 23, while significantly improving his offensive game. Mobley averaged 18.5 points on 63% true shooting, including 37% from deep in his first season as a qualified shooter. At number 11, it's Mobley's Cavs teammate Donovan Mitchell. You might question why Mitchell is ahead of some of the younger stars on this list with more term remaining on their contracts. Don't. Mitchell's one of the league's most consistent drivers of elite offense, and his teams have won roughly 69% of games when he's in the lineup over the last 5 years, a 56-win pace. He's one of 7 players to make the last 5 All-Star games. Not to mention, the last time he was traded with 2 years and a player option left on his contract, his former team acquired control of 5 first-round draft picks. Steph Curry comes in at number 10. Yes, Curry is 37 years old and nearly a decade removed from his last MVP award, but he's still one of the best offensive players in the game and plenty capable of tilting the floor. Curry has suited up for 70-plus games in each of the last 2 seasons, averaging 25.5 points on 45-40-93 shooting in the process. What makes Curry's situation different from that of fellow legends like LeBron or Kevin Durant is that he has multiple years remaining on his contract. In a fantasy land where the Warriors make Curry available and rival teams get to bid on 2 years of his services, do you really think there are 10 players who would fetch their clubs a bigger haul? At number 9, it's Jalen Brunson. Brunson checks all of the boxes for this list. He's an all-NBA caliber star under team control for at least another 3 years, and he's earning less than max money, making him one of the league's biggest bargains. Undersized and defensively challenged guards usually prove to be postseason liabilities, but Brunson's risen to the occasion every time. He's also still young enough that even a rebuilding team might be willing to cough up significant assets for him. Jalen Williams checks in at number 8. J-Dub's max extension, set to kick in ahead of the 2026-27 campaign, will escalate depending on the individual accolades he accrues. Whatever the final number comes in at though, he'll be worth it, and every team would gladly pay it. 3 years into his career, Williams is already an All-NBAer and an All-Defensive Team member. His ruthless efficiency and zero wasted movement on both ends is Kawhi-esque. Coming in at number 7 is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Despite being 30 years old with only a couple of guaranteed years left on his contract, the entire league would move heaven and earth to acquire the Greek freak should Milwaukee ever make him available. He's averaged at least 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in each of the last 3 seasons, a feat only 4 other players have managed to do even once. Before Giannis first accomplished it in the 2022-23 season, no player had posted those numbers in 50 years. Cooper Flagg is number 6. Flagg's the most promising American prospect since Zion Williamson, a fact cemented by his terrific freshman season at Duke and his stunning performance against the US Olympic team in a 2024 scrimmage when he was just 17 years old. Though Flagg's rookie scale contract only runs 4 years, he's technically under team control for 8 or 9 years when factoring in his first extension. That combination of superstar upside and maximum team control makes Flagg an easy choice here. Anthony Edwards is number 5. Edwards has transformed the Timberwolves from afterthought to perennial contender with an entertaining combination of shot making and bravado. His game is a perfect blend of the old school scoring of 2 guards like Michael Jordan and the analytics-friendly shooting of modern guards. Edwards shot nearly 40% on more than 10 3-point attempts per game last season, earning his 3rd consecutive All-Star selection and 2nd straight All-NBA second team nod in the process. He's also missed just 19 games over his 5-year career. At number 4, it's Luka Doncic. Doncic's 5 All-NBA first-team selections already trump the career output of legends like Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki. He also appears more motivated than ever after the Mavericks' stunning decision to trade him amidst reported conditioning concerns. Now locked into a new contract that keeps him under team control for at least the next 3 years, Doncic easily ranks among the 5 most valuable players in the league, no matter what Nico Harrison says. The top 3 begins with Nikola Jokic. Jokic is still the best player alive. If his contract had just a bit more term left on it than 2 guaranteed years, he might have taken top spot on this list even at 30 years old. Who would argue with that after the Joker averaged a 29.6-point triple-double last season? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander comes in at number 2. The reigning MVP just put together the type of year only Jordan, Kareem, and Shaq can relate to. He's a top 2 player on the planet, the centerpiece of the NBA's best team, smack dab in the middle of his prime, and under team control for at least the next half-decade. And finally, no one has more trade value than Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama has largely lived up to the billing since being dubbed perhaps the greatest prospect in team sports history, averaging roughly 23 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks over his first 2 NBA seasons. If he stays healthy, he'll be a perennial MVP and Defensive Player of the Year threat. Still only midway through his rookie scale contract, Wemby's technically under team control for another 6 or 7 years, unless he rejects the eventual maximum extension coming his way next summer, which would be unprecedented. So there you have it, our top 20 most valuable players by trade value. Who's too high? Who's too low? Who did we snub? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.